Get in focus, you dog. All right, so click the link to join the channel, become a valuable member, and watch the behind-the-scenes stuff. Check me out on Patreon, Subscribe Star, Odyssey, Bit Chute, Gab, Telegram. So what happened? Oh, and if you want to get hold of me, instead of leaving, if you need to get hold of me, like quickly, you drop an email. That goes instantly to the phone. Someone had a question on Patreon. So what happened was DC's got issues with the Synderverse canon. And here's the thing about all, and this guy kind of sums up. I don't know if it's the right answer, but it feels like it's going closely in the direction. And there's a lot of complicated stuff with, believe it or not, even Ayn Rand, Rosenbaum is involved in this. And Zaslaw and Snyder, and they think like they're the left, the far alt-left extreme seems to think like Snyder and Zaslaw are vaguely right-wing because they're not fully 100% globalist. They're both left-wing guys, and if you think they're not, it's just absolutely insane. Because someone was saying like, oh, Snyder has are there right-wing themes in Snyder's films, Superman, Batman, Superman, and then Justice League. When you're an alt-left extreme Bolshevik, everything that's not globalism is going to be right wing, and it's going to threaten you, and they want to control and shut down everything that vaguely is not globalism. That's like, it's a binary for them. If not globalism, then marching around to what's that song, Erica? That was that little Japanese girl who was pounding on the wall singing Erica. God, that video is so funny. I think it's on YouTube. That's how they think. They're like, Trump derangement syndrome made them crazy, and then being disappointed in Biden made them just even more crazy. And now they're kind of like in this cognitive dissonance loop where they can't admit they're wrong, because then they have to, it's like like they can't admit the media and the government's been lying to them this whole time, because then they have to look back further and further and go like, oh, well, what else have they lied about? It's like, yeah, obviously that leads them down a rabbit hole they don't want to go down. Anyway, there's a lot of weird energy behind this whole Synderverse thing. I kind of didn't understand it until I finally saw great pop-up ads in an archive. I finally saw the Justice League, the 4-hour version, the other night, and it all started to make sense, because as someone who's not a Weadon or a Snyder or even DC fan, or even cares about Hollywood in general, it's like it's all a bunch of Epstein Island degenerates. I think Weadon's a Weinstein type of guy who did stuff to women or pressured women or something. It's like, it's supporting Hollywood at this point is really, it's a bridge too far. I was on Odyssey last night, and I was downloading movies from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, which you can still do on Odyssey for a little while until they crack down. Because, movies from the 70s, it's like, oh, there's thousands of movies made before 1990, like from 1930 to 1990 that you've never seen and are excellent. Like, you can watch those movies for the rest of your life, and you'll never have to watch anything new from Hollywood ever again. Just even movies pre-1980, and you look back and you're like, oh gosh, these were so good, and these were classics at the time, and you probably missed 90% of those movies because you're just not going to go back. It's, if you're limited to streaming services, well, you're seeing what they want you to see, which is kind of creepy. But when you go sailing, you can find exactly what you want. Anyway, so I didn't understand a whole lot of this energy between it until the whole Synderverse passion, because from my interpretation, those are 3 mediocre films. And then I saw the 4-hour cut, and yeah, it was 4 hours, and it took me a year to see it, because I thought to myself, I'm not watching a 4-hour movie. There's no freaking way. But so many people said, you just go watch it, break it down into parts. But I actually watched the whole thing all the way through, and it was good. It was way better than the other film. So I didn't understand like why there's this push against Snyder, who I don't give a darn about one way or the other. I mean, I saw how he sold out the Geeks and Gamers crew. Like, I saw that, I'm like, that was the same guy, right? I mean, I saw that and think like, this guy's a colossal douchebag. Just what a absolute a-hole. So, it's easy to wash your hands of somebody like that. And, that's half the problem with social media is you see the people behind the scenes. Like, the smartest guys in Hollywood are the people who stay off social media, because you see them behind the scenes, you realize, oh, these people are monsters. And it's not just the Epstein Weinstein stuff. I mean, it's just they say things like Jason Momoa for Aquaman is talking about the environment. And as a former scientist myself, it's like, that's such in a state of flux, and it's such an insanely complicated topic. To hear somebody talk about it with like a paragraph's understanding of it, and then reach this conclusion that has these far-reaching consequences that also just happen to be in line with the globalist agenda, you realize that, oh, these people are so developmentally disabled that you can't separate the art from the artist, and I just have no interest in watching anything modern anymore. Anyway, so while that 4-hour cut was a better film, it's still kind of hard to see why the fans care so much about Superman 1, 2, Justice League, which were pretty mediocre films. And then, but in comparison, you start comparing them to the other, not only DC films, but superhero films in general, like the Birds of Prey, the Wonder Woman 84, and there's a half a dozen other movies that's come out, and you realize, oh, those are pretty mediocre. So you start looking back at the 2013 and 2016 and 2017 films that he put out. You realize, oh yeah, those are actually a lot better, but they're not great movies. It's just in comparison to Wonder Woman 84, they're a whole lot better films. And where Wonder Woman 84 and I don't know, maybe Birds of Prey had woke elements to it, and they were just generally horrible films. The three Snyder films weren't like over the top, in your face propaganda. So yeah, in comparison, I guess that makes them far right extremist ideology if you're a left winger. But so yeah, the 4-hour version was a much better cut, but it's like you're still accepting something it's not a masterpiece. It's like, do people say that? It's like, man, you got to watch better movies if you think like it's a masterpiece for nowadays, for sure. Comparison, I mean, because everything that's coming out in the past 5 years is going to be insane, and anything that's coming out from this point forward, you're not going to see anything like pre-16, pre-2020 films compared to post. It's a whole different universe of wokeness. You're not going to see a return to old movies. It's all going to be propaganda. So it's like the top of the mediocre pile. People go, oh, this must be genius. No, Go watch older versions, even in the superhero genre, and you'll see a whole lot better. Even the 4 Superman movies from the 70s had a lot more fun in them. Anyway, so there was also some like weird pseudo scandal because the wrong people wanted this Snyder cut filmed. The Phantom Menace, which is all far right, dangerous, extremist comic book fans, Geeks and Gamers, Nerdrotic, and Yellow Flash, are actually leaders of a alt-dexterous Hugo Boss compound in Idaho where they talk about comic books while they march around. That's really how the left wing thinks. If you're on Twitter and you follow these people, you realize, oh, they're either insane or they don't believe what they're saying, but they want to, they want to control people so badly that they're willing to strawman any argument. So on social media, if the wrong people, or who they consider to be the wrong people, the alt-right comic book fans, and you say that aloud, and they don't ever stop to think, like, do you hear yourselves when you say this? Do you even listen to yourself, and you look at like the guy at Nerdrotic, you think, so this guy, this is who you're using that nomenclature to associate with, that guy, or the Geeks and Gamers guy, like those mild milquetoast, middle of the road, middle of the political bell curve guys, like those are the people that you're calling these names. You would think that they would be self-aware enough to know that they undercut their own argument with this kind of hyperbole, but the self-awareness is something they lack. And anyway, so the wrong people, in quote. What happens is cat ladies and soy boys will get outraged because a left wing is a collection of scared herd animals who are terrified of anything that goes against the herd. They don't want to be called out by the herd, and they have this oppression hierarchy where people, POCs and BLTs who are higher up on the oppression hierarchy, can call them out. That's why they're all identifying as some sort of, Elizabeth Warren types. I'm an American Indian, and I'm BLT, and I'm trans, and I'm motherkin, and I'm furry, so I can have, like, you can put yourself higher up on the oppression Olympics ladder. And it's like, this is all subjective. You just made all this up. It's not real. This is all critical theory, Saul Alinsky, Moses Mordecai Levy, nonsense. This is just globalist propaganda that, like, they do these bootstrap arguments where they don't start with Iraq issue, rule, analysis, conclusion. They start with conclusion, and then they argue the conclusion, and they conclude the conclusion. You realize, like, but you never built the foundation to your argument. You just said this critical theory is right, but you never showed evidence for it. Where we can say, if you're arguing from emotion, then you can rebut them from emotion, which actually is so much fun. I say this as a marginalized and oppressed woman of color myself, because that's what I am. You identify as... No. I am marginalized, oppressed, disenfranchised, and othered woman of color. Use my pronouns, bigot. Anyway, I mean, these people are insane, so you have to speak to them as if they're insane. It's imaginary land where you're with the children and the kids tell you don't step on you got to step on the carpet because the carpet's like, I don't know, floating on lava or something. Tell them like, yeah, it'd still be 1,000 degrees of, I don't know, what is it, basalt? It'd still be 1,000 degrees basaltic rock. I mean, yeah, it'd be dense, but I mean, I think the fumes are probably toxic, like sulfur byproducts would turn your lungs to acid, I think. Way to spoil the kids' fun there, a-hole. Anyway, so the left wing is terrified of upsetting the herd and being called out by people above them on this bullshit ladder. Where we can just go, this is just globalist propaganda, and they kind of don't know what to say to that because they know it is globalist propaganda. Yeah, Karl Marx. Oh, you mean Moses Mordecai Levy, the guy who literally changed his name? It's like, why did he do that? Why did a lot of these philosophers, like, why did they start off from lying just right from the start? Oh, did these guys like run businesses, create countries? Did they ever start and do great things? Were they ever responsible for anything? No, they were just alcoholic philosophers. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's great. That's what you want to form. So how have their ideas been in practice? Oh, they failed for the past 100 years. So that's what we should build this thing around. Anyway, so the right wing is different because the right wing will fight with the left and the right if they think that they're right. And to be fair, both sides have their advantages. But the left is this kind of single source authoritarian hierarchy where they focus on one point of control, where the right is more libertarian, egalitarian, decentralized flow of information. The left fears this nationalist populist movement because they can't subvert it, where they want to have just one leverage point where they have to exert control. It's kind of like the Fed versus the state concept. So even when the Sonic movie came out, and there was like they're not the fans, they're the customers, had some issue with it. Comicsgate, Phantom Menace, or the Synderverse issues, they automatically attack the Chads who are calling out the propaganda in the films, or saying like, listen, oh God, how that guy got so many. I actually did a video about him, but it's sitting in monetization limbo for the past day. For some reason, I must have used too many hot words talking about Ezra Miller. I can't imagine what I said. If the customer is saying like, hey, we're paying for the film, we want to see what we want to see. Oh no, that's like the people who got out, the soy boys and cat ladies who got outraged about that Sonic thing said, "Oh, you're forcing these computer guys to go back and do this work." You realize they're not slaves. The 13th Amendment, bro. They're getting paid. In fact, you might even be bringing in new people and pay them to work, overtime to get this thing done. You can't actually press gang people on board the ship anymore to put them below decks to work on the computers to do the animation to fix the Sonic thing. They're not being forced to do this. Like, the left wing is just completely insane. As soon as they see that like a group of people are kind of united with one goal that's not their goal, they get outraged by it. They got outraged over Sonic, a group of customers saying they wanted something different. And they got mad over that, which is like, they get mad over stuff, comics and movies. These are the people who boycott stuff. And then you look at them and their Twitter history and you go, wait, clearly you were never going to buy like Comicsgate stuff. You're never going to buy this stuff in the first place, but you're boycotting it. Oh, how stunning and brave. So nothing changes. How was that a threat? You'll never work in Marvel. Yeah, they were never going to work in Marvel anyway. That's not a threat. It's not a threat if you can't take away or give them something. If nothing changes, it's not a threat. These people are clearly insane. So stuff like Phantom Menace and Comicsgate, which is a popular movement. And keep in mind, like, the left wing has their own popular movements too. Like, they're the same. They have the same groups on Twitter, advocating for whatever globalist nonsense. The difference is they advocate for stuff that they won't financially support. We advocate for stuff we will financially support. You see Comicsgate making comics, and people go, oh, yeah, we should make some comics that aren't total Bolshevik, woke, anti-white, misandrist propaganda. And we'll financially support you to the tune of, $30 to $40 a comic, after shipping. Oh, okay. But where the left says they want stuff, and they say this on Twitter all the time, they go, I would buy the hell out of this. Take my money. But then when they put the stuff out there, and they go, oh, yeah, but you didn't buy the hell out of it. These comics, these woke, Joe Glass, Mag Visaggio, it's like it sold 900 issues. Or the Birds of Prey movie, or not the Expendables, the latest X-Men, the Charlie's Angels, the latest Terminator, the Ghostbusters, all these women-led girl power movies. I think even Ocean's had a movie. It's all this kind of girl power nonsense. And it's like, hey, why didn't like half the country is women? Why didn't all these liberals, why didn't all these women go see this movie? Oh, they don't have an answer. Elizabeth Banks, men have to see my movie. Why the hell would men have to see your movie? You're not making a movie for men. You're making a movie for women that women don't want to see. You're making a movie for, that means you're making a movie for nobody. Congratulations. Congratulations. You can't force us to see your movies. You have to they're not fans. They're not just stupid fans who will click a ticket. There's very rarely will that happen. The only time it happens in certain circumstances like Captain Marvel, because it came in between two movies. If that had come after, it probably would have still turned a profit, but it wouldn't have done $1 billion. It's only because it was a precursor to the biggest movie in film history, the $365 million Avenger movie. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, check me out on Patreon, Subscribe Star, and I will see you guys all next episode.